Please pray with me. May these words that I speak be grounded in my soul, encouraged by the God presence in me. And may these words that you hear be captured by your soul, enlivened by the God presence in you. Amen. Easter is real. Very, very real. By that I mean that something earth-shakingly profound happened to the followers of Jesus sometime shortly after his death. The tomb, however, I suspect is not real, at least not in the historical evidence-making sense. We know this because if there had been an actual tomb, it is likely that it would have been mentioned by Paul, who wrote significantly before the Gospels, and that he would have mentioned that somewhere amongst his many references to the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus. No, I suspect the tomb did not actually exist in a physical sense, but the creation of an empty tomb by Mark that is then carried on in the other three Gospels is, I believe, Mark's attempt to capture the cause of the transformation in those early followers. A transformation, a huge transformation from fearful, anxious, and grief-filled people into love-filled, courageous, and joy-filled disciples. So why a tomb? And what might its deeper meaning be for Mark and for us? I would suggest that the tomb becomes symbol for all that is life-taking in our lives. It is the fear that binds us, the thoughts and the feelings, our own and others, that diminish us. Systems and cultures, even family and friends, often diminish our life in their need for order and stability, which causes us as individuals to suffer, often without even realizing it. All or part of our lives become sealed up, entombed, when we live in fear or when we are unable to deal with our own demons. Fear has the power to hold us so tightly that we lose our life, bringing death to our very souls. The empty tomb, then, becomes symbol of all that is life-giving and life-sustaining in our very fragile human life. It happens to us when we are able to break through our fears and open to that God presence, the very heart of love and compassion. It is that simple. And yet, I believe it is the hardest thing that we have to do and learn in order to be more fully human, just like Jesus. The most interesting thing for me about the Easter story is that the written material is all about empty tombs, ecstatic believers, and in the later Gospels, many, many miraculous Jesus sightings. But there is virtually no detail of what actually happened. We just know that something happened. There was obviously dramatic and life-changing consequences, but what caused the change was not easy to document, it would seem. But sometime after the crucifixion, some experience of great magnitude brought the followers back. This experience empowered them and gave them the courage to take up the cause, even in the face of their own persecution. They never wavered. They never wavered, even though they had been nothing short of cowards before. John Spong, in his book Jesus for the non-religious, says, "The strength of their conviction was such that no threat and no fear could separate them from the God they met in Jesus. The way they understood God was profoundly changed. Jesus became the human face of God." This empty tomb experience was so powerful, so life-changing, that Resurrection Day became identified with the first day of the week. Spong says, within a single generation, the Christian Sunday began to rival the Jewish Saturday for supremacy, even among the Jewish followers. Think about that. People do not change or expand sacred traditions easily. We know that. We live that. I have been trying to move the language of the Lord's Prayer for 25 years. And yet, the Holy Day, the most sacred of traditions, the Holy Day, was moved in less than 40 years. I have 15 to go. Easter is real. Something happened. Stirring shifts in consciousness, along with dramatic changes in character, theology, and worship, gripped the followers of Jesus at some point after his death. Something very big happened. The empty tomb is the symbol of this indescribable change within their own being. The empire of the world killed Jesus, entombed him, but the power of the Spirit could not be contained. The empire took his physical life, but had no power over his spirit, over the human spirit, and over the God Spirit. Death, where now is your sting? This is the Spirit, the presence in all things, in each of us, that Richard Rohr describes as a homing device. A homing device that is in each of us and yearns for connection with the eternal God presence, that force, that Spirit that is beyond our understanding. In his book, The Naked Now, Rohr says, "You need have only one encounter with the divine to know of the deeper Spirit within you. But you can never fully understand it or describe it in a clear concept. It just is." This encounter with the divine is what the followers attempted to capture with the image of the empty tomb. A spirit that cannot be bound. Rohr would say, they were in love. They were in love with life and life for all. This is transformative religion, a way of engaging our souls that changes the way we live and the way we embrace the world around us. Easter, I believe, is recognizing the need for a new mind, a spiritual revolution, an opening to love without condition, and an opening to compassion without exception. In 21st century language, I would say, we need new motherboards, changing the actual hardware that processes our experiences. This is an inside-out kind of revolution. It is not merely a change of morals or beliefs or the day of the week that we worship, but a change at the very heart of our experience. In resurrection, in empty tombs, in Easter, we need the mind of Christ. Only then will we find ourselves able to live like Jesus lived. Easter challenges us to break free from our tombs, to banish the fears that bring death in life, and to embrace the love that brings life in life. And it all begins in Galilee. What I love most about, well, I love all of Mark's gospel, if you haven't figured that out yet, but what I love about his gospel is that he doesn't start with a birth. He starts with baptism. He starts with Jesus' baptism. Jesus' own metanoia. Jesus' own choosing to change his mind and heart and to live in compassion and love. Mark understood that death in life is not about our final physical death. Jesus calling us back to Galilee, calling us back to where the whole thing began, challenges us to be constantly open to metanoia, constantly open to once again change our mind and our hearts. John Spong says about those early believers, whatever Easter was, called them beyond fear, as their heroic post-Easter behavior reveals, called them beyond tribal identity, as the story of the Spirit giving them the ability to speak the language of their hearers makes clear, called them beyond the limits of a religion, as the creation of a new holy day proclaims, called them beyond the sense of their own mortality, as the resurrection language shows. May each of us experience the kind of change of mind and heart this Easter that Jesus did, and like his followers did, that frees us from our tombs and raises us from death to real life. Amen.